Morning, everyone. Let's talk about something, one important word I believe is one of the most underrated word in our life, in our journey, in our society. While we talk about that word, we'll talk about another word which is kind of reaction to this word. So let's talk about the first paradigm, failure. I think in our society, failure is one word which is the most underrated word. While we strive for success, I think that's what societies always talk about because that's the achievement. But what is more important is the journey. Failure actually is the journey. Success is the end result. Now, of late, while we are studying in our societies, in our family where we live, we see people talking about success, but how often do you see people talking about failure? And I think that's the reason where we are at a stage where, as compared to more evolved societies, we are yet to accept the failure. So let me share a very important story of my life with you all, and I'm sure you will find it intriguing. I was 6 years old, and I was studying in a village named Gurapura. This village is in a district, Bhilwara in the state Rajasthan, and I was studying in the school, a central academy school, and I had moved to this school called Swami Vivekanand Kendra Vidyalaya. It was a school by Swami Ramakrishna Paramhans. I moved in 6th standard. I was a very shy kid. You won't see me talking much. I had grown up with my grandparents and not with my parents. My parents used to live in Delhi. And I think as I moved into this school, I started writing, found my taste that I can write. When I say write, I'm talking about gadyansh and padyansh, right? Poems and articles. So I started writing, and I think it was around Dashera, my parents had come. I was with my grandparents, and I written this poem, which was, I fondly remember my first poem, Satya Ki Talash. I had written this poem, and I shown it to my parents. My father really liked it, and he said, why don't you go and show it to your teacher? I went to the school, and I took this paper out where I had written this poem. I approached my Hindi teacher, and I showed it to him. First guru of my life, Dr. Vatsen Sharma. I showed it to him. Look, this is what I've written. He read the poem, and he was like, wow, that's something good. That was our first interaction between me and my guru, 6th standard. Few days passed, and Dr. Vatsen Sharma came into the class, and we had our annual festival coming. So he wanted somebody to come on stage and do the inaugural speech. I was in 6th standard. Largely in schools which are till 12th, you would ask seniors to come and give the inaugural speech. And he was there in our class, 6th standard, and he just came and announced, hey, is there somebody who's going to come and give the inaugural speech from your class? I think when I look back, there are two elements. One, destiny, and I think that is where destiny was calling. So Dr. Vatsen Sharma looked at me and said, hey, Siddharth, would you want to come up, stand up, and give the inaugural speech? I was very hesitant. I was a 6th standard kid. Hesitantly, I said, yes, why not? I will. And he said, what will you talk about? So I said, I'll talk about Swami Vivekanand, Narendra, coincidentally, our PM's name. And I started writing about Swami Vivekanand. 1 day passed, 2 day, 3rd day, 4th day, and I frequently started talking to Dr. Vatsen Sharma. I used to show him the paper, hey, this is what I've written. I used to recite. And by that time, my parents had gone back. And came the most important day, a night before the annual festival. So tomorrow is the annual festival. There's a night before the annual festival, and all of you will be able to relate the anxiety a day before you're about to give a speech to an audience of more than 2,000 people, and I had not done that before. I had no experience of doing that, right? I think I was confident that I'll be able to, speak well, go on the stage, but an anxiety a day before an important event. I think I couldn't sleep. I'll be very honest, I couldn't sleep. came the day I went to the school. So back then, on those annual festivals, we used to sit on the floor, not like as you guys are sitting on the chair. So we used to sit on the floor, and there used to be a stage where people would come and enact, speak. So long auditorium, and I was sitting back there, 6th standard, and initial Deep Prajwalan happened, and came Dr. Vatsan Sharma on stage, and he called my name. By the time before I had entered the auditorium, I had already decided that I will recite without using a paper. And I was very confident that I won't need a paper to put on the podium and to read what is required to be spoken about. And the moment I entered the auditorium, saw 2,000 people, students in 11th standard, 12th, my seniors, anxiety kicked in, the fear kicked in, right? Now, that time it was 70-30 that, I'll go and speak without the paper. He calls my name, I stood up from my place, start walking towards the auditorium. It was a huge, long auditorium. And there are few memories of your childhood are, etched there is because they are so important in life. And I still remember at times, I was walking in that auditorium towards the stage. I reached the stage. I was this tall that time. So the podium was obviously taller than me, right? The moment I reached the stage, and everybody realized that the moment I came beside this podium, nobody can see me, right? And everybody starts laughing because it was funny, right? I mean, short guy came on the stage to speak, and now he's not tall enough for people to see. And I think people who were organizing the event didn't realize that I would need a stool to stand upon for people to see me. So Dr. Vatsan Sharma realized, this guy would need a stool to stand upon. He quickly arranged it. And by that time, I've already lost every inch of confidence in me. I've already decided that now I'm not going to use my confidence, rather I will recite the paper. And I'm so nervous, right? Lost my mind. I think my subconscious was already inactive. I don't think I was kind of thinking at all. You call it blackout, right? The blackout moment. You're not able to assess what's happening. You're not able to even realize the surrounding because you're so much caught in fear. Now, caught in fear, I quickly decided, okay, I'll recite the paper now. They put the stool, I stand up on it, open the paper on podium, blah, 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 4 pages gone. Instead of 15 minutes, I think I wrapped it up in 8 minutes because, when you are afraid, you have fear, you just want to get rid of the moment, right? I mean, that's how it is. So I got done with it. I got down on the stage, feel relaxed, and I still remember those moments when I was walking, from that auditorium, going back to my place. I went and sat back there, felt relieved. Suddenly, Dr. Vatsan Sharma comes back on stage. And he said, Siddharth, I think because the mic, since was a little away from your mouth, and maybe what you said in a hurry, which people could not hear what you said, I would request you to come back on stage. To come back. That's one stage in my life, and I remember till day, is to come back. I had just failed, and just somebody came on stage and asked me to come back. I went on stage, and this time, I narrated, recited every single thing without using a paper. See, that's the best thing about failure. After every failure, there is a comeback. Nobody can stop you from failing. You will fail again and again and again. But what nobody can take from you is the ability to come back. Never let that go. You will fail so many times in life. And that day I learned is that I may fail so many times again and again in my life, but what nobody can take from me is the ability to come back. And that was the day, and today, the failures doesn't matter to me. And I know that the most important stage after the failure is the comeback stage. And it's in that stage where you live the most fond memories of your life. And it was that day and today. When I meet my batchmates, colleagues, you know what I tell the most important thing? I'm not sure how many times you have been successful, but the most important thing I am glad and proud of is the number of times I have failed in life. I failed so many times in life. But whatever I am today is all because of my ability to come back and that lesson that I learned when I was 6th standard. That was the lesson actually that helped me get through IIT. And I tell you how coming back and learning from failures are so important in life. Is that when I gave my first IIT JEE exam, I was not able to get through. I mean, I was able to, but my rank was not that great. It was like, you don't get an IIT that days. But at that time, I had already learned that, I know I've failed in my own reference, but I have to come back. One small learning of my life, the ability to come back, the attitude to fight back, the ability to accept the failure, is the reason I gave the IIT exam again, and I got through. And trust me, that's been my learning. We focus a lot on failure, but we don't realize that the most important element in life is actually going to come after the failure. So whenever you fail, remember this thing in life, that the most important thing is yet to begin, and it's going to begin after you have failed. Thank you.